So I'm listening to the radio, and one of my theories that I came out with, as far as it not being a theory, is being truthful, and it's also in the older books. Uh, Dude on the radio said, there's so many certain Jewish people here, there, and they all had amount of numbers. Like I said, there was sequences to these numbers, as far as kind of being like clues, pointing this and that, letters, numbers, just like how you calculate quantum physics. It's still the same that help unravel an investigation. So with understanding that, it's just crazy that he said the same things I've said, and I said that 5 months ago, and I'm just wondering, was he on the same thought of mine as far as intellect reaching the vessel from it being, almighty from its main frame type of existence? Or did he steal my ideas? Because also the solar panels, I said those could be like zero cost of electricity, and they could be good for humanity. And all of a sudden, you have commercials like 2-3 weeks ago, having commercials on YouTube and stuff. So seems like I'm not getting the acknowledgement for at least being smart, and somehow people are always stealing people's ideas. Biggest thing is, do you enjoy waking up in the morning, going to work, coming home, kids gone, or having arguments? Do you enjoy being put like in this place where it's real life, but it actually seems like it's not real because it's not fair? Well, like I said, Jesus is king, and he left us lots of clues. There's no way nobody would die for anyone else's sins if you can't really save them for them having their own actions, The whole fact that the Roman Empire that made Catholicism and Christianity, and all of that worked hand in hand with also those that point a finger at Jesus and said he's evil, and then you look at everyone else, that we all believe Jesus. So yeah, Jesus was real, but how can the ones that were supposed to take care of him and love him get away with manipulating the situation? And my father's one person who believes he isn't real because of how much evidence he knows of his whereabouts that wasn't there, but I know his whereabouts were misplaced. He was crucified at night. They all did it in one swift night. And over the years, they were planning on how to keep everyone in control. And, in the 9th century, that's when they devised the BC and the AD. So it was 9,000 years later, after Jesus, his crucifixion. And, the whole idea is to be spiritually awake. That way you could have that connection, No walkie-talkies, no need to call headquarters. You just already have it up here, and you take care of each other. Sound crazy, but everything I speak about is basically what should be saving the world, instead of letting it just fall apart with not listening, not caring. You have so many people hitting stories today, uniquely important, but so focused on the idea that they're not seeing the whole surrounding of what created that. You know what I mean? It's like paying attention to a fly that's about to get eaten when really you don't even notice that it's still just caught in the web. You have to be aware of the whole web that is taking life. You have to sometimes think as a spider. You sometimes have to think as the wasp. Sometimes you got to think of just bird's eye view, completely clearly, of third person. And you have to pay attention. So yeah, one thing I want to touch down on is how the world hates a lot of people. And one thing that I've been sticking up for people, even though I think it's messed up that everyone is either forced or promoted into it or tricked. Everything should be natural. So people that are gay, it should be natural if they were to experience something at 17 with his friend that they went to school with, or something like that. That's their business, and it was two friends that cared about each other. But the LGBT and all that promoted and hidden in all of our Disney movies, and in the old days, you had emperors that were able to molest and disrespect the children. We're pretty much in that same world, just later on, but that's what makes it a matrix, by going by those rules and those laws. People have the laws to respect them, but also when those that break them, somehow those that are hurt do not get the justice. So a lot of things are manipulating for evil to always try to win, but it really shouldn't. You know, it sounds stupid, but those that pay attention really understand what I'm talking about. So let's talk about how, you know, the Black Plague, you know, hepatitis, everything sprung out of control way, way later after Jesus. You know, I mean, when you look at the AIDS and all that, you know, they all try to say somebody tried to do a monkey or something. A lot of that was put into controlling you, you know, by making you need them for pharmaceuticals, making you need them for health counseling, for you needing them to call to protect. You know, they took the powers away from villagers to really be able to manifest their own property, their own families, their own land, and take care of each other. So, I don't know. There's just a cry for help for everyone else, because no matter what, you know, intellect always comes back. And this life, I'm not scared to lose just to try to save people. I believe it's not just so much of that's why I was picked, but because I was supposed to be picked and live that life to see that. You know, you have to go through so much trial and error just to get the problems fixed and solved. But the part isn't labor or physical. The part is actually mental and spiritual, and that's why I try to reach so many, because people should actually be awakened. A lot of things happen when people are asleep. You have sleepwalkers that go in the fridge and drink stuff. Well, you're awake with your eyes open. You think you're doing what you know what you're doing, but you got people that out of nowhere flip out and murder somebody, or like listen to a dog. I mean, that's a big case right there. Summer Sam, JFK, Queen Diane, you know, Twin Towers. Like everything you think of manifests from some type of plot where as soon as you freaking take all the life, which is stupid, you think you're gonna have eternal life, but there is no eternal life outside this planet, you know. And why do I say that? Because I have documents that show CIA had a project where they were listening to Planet X or life on Planet X, saying they had life on that rock that's actually a planet of death. You know, the book of death and the tree of death that all originated from outside source that was not part of Eve. Oh, and if you guys think I'm making up stuff again, look up Guardians of the Galaxy. I thought about that just today, and I'm like, yeah, we are extensions of Earth, just like how Adam was an extension of the planet, which is God. You know, well, their God in that movie. Our God is Eve, this planet. So Adam and Eve, you know, shared intellect. One destroyed itself. Boom. You know, it's not here, no longer in this orbit. It always supposedly comes every 360. It's just crazy. I mean, all of this stuff is true, and there's so many testaments and books and things that were actually hidden or destroyed, but they're still in movies, you know? Who else would have known that? And then boom, had another example to link it, like give you a demonstration of a visual and imagination, you know? Because everything came from thought, and everything ends with thought. You know, no more thinking means end of all creation. So when it looks at all that, you gotta not hate people for, you know, being victims. You can't hate somebody for just naturally being something, because if you look at languages, for instance, it's cologne. In English, it's called cologne. In English, you have two types, a perfume and a cologne. But in Spanish and all the languages love, cologne is called perfume. Men and women are not too different. The only thing is they have certain obligations to attend to as far as being different genders. You know, so if somebody feels more of their feminine side or someone feels more of their masculine side, you have to understand that we're exactly equal, and it's the chemical balance that is actually just set different for that person to live a little bit different. But everyone deserves to live freely and be happy. So, I mean, that's a big situation and a problem. You know, you have people that were victims. Some go all out. You have some people that are victims, and they stay away and they hate the world. You know, you got people that are victims that don't go all out and care about each other equally. You got people that are victims and really hate anybody else that has to deal with that trauma from being a victim, because that trauma still messes with them every day. All those movies and all those books, everything shows proof as far as what's coming, what's happened, and also all of us victims, we definitely have a lot of those roles, even if we didn't want them. You know, the script is the script no matter what, and that's life. But as far as me having 5 months worth of work where I got woken up tremendously, shockingly, like just, it was crazy. It was, I went through that, but I'm not in that no more. Now I'm just like, that happened to me. Now I'm smarter. I'm happy. But anybody else goes through that, it's painful to see that they got woken up by the spirit and nobody believes them. And I could handle that. I could deal with the fact that people want to call me crazy. I just stick to myself and mind my business, because it's not their fault that they went from being a self-thinker to being a computer module. I mean, it sounds crazy, but if you really know, if you're really actually smart, people that aren't smart, they took that from us. In the old days, people that yelled with that disease, I forgot what it's called. We all know where they're like, "Bachelor, I get my life." It was on that movie Deuce Bigelow. Anyways, shit like that was actually being possessed in the old days. Today we call that medical science of just having Tourette's. That's what it's called. So it really sucks. You got people that are family and they don't understand you, but really they've been through traumas, and other people mess it up for them as well. So why do we have broken families? Why is the world falling apart? Because the test of time was ours to actually complete and solve. This right here, without life, we would not have a timeline. So when we come back to this life, we have to find a way to wake up. Anyways, world, reporting to you again, because you never know the situation, and I've already gone through a million different freaking trials, even in this life, from having to be on the street, make a decision on the street to survive and eat, to making sure I never harmed anyone else, so I took the toll and the punishment or the neglect or embarrassment, the shame. I had to do that also just to try to live life, but then somehow be possessed, because what you see of other people, monkey see, monkey do. Some of the things you cannot be in control of if it's not hurting anyone else. Somehow you just, wake up next morning with people calling you names of hating your sexuality or whatever the heck, Us all being possessed is true. And in the old days of Roman days, everybody slept around crazy, which is wrong. But they didn't have AIDS or anything to get them sick, to make them worry or go back to a government and say, please, I need these prescriptions, my insurance should cover it. All of that stuff is very much real, The fact that people abort babies, you're never supposed to take life, even if it's on its way coming to life, Everything should have been built for better instead of worse. 1300, the years of 1300, 13th century, show proof that, and other centuries show proof that we didn't have slaves of just one race. We had slaves of just, people that weren't taken care of and had nowhere to go, so people bought them. People, if you lived to a royal family, you could have had the choice to have slaves or not, but they weren't about color, and that was messed up. But we changed that, whether it was us or it was them, and they sadly made it just Jewish people or black people or Native Indians. But we all had those timelines where we all had our feet in the same shoes. So, yeah, I don't know how many times I could try to tell the world all this, but it is sad, because doing all this, even though it's, 5 months is the first time of this life, it seems like many have done that in many lives and nobody ever listened. And like I said, spirit is more like a headquarters or main computer in that sense of evolution and being connected. Yet we have driven ourselves from that to kind of be like the toaster in the scrapyard, If you're a toaster that works, get yourself out of the scrapyard and start living. Get back the connection to your power source, which is spirit, which is earth, and love each other equally, and find ways to bridge and not disrespect. Find no reason to find differences. Find reasons to find similarities, and just have passion to live.